Hello, my name is Iris Sowlat, and I directed Romeo and Juliet with Accidental Shakespeare Company. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the different production team members involved in making this show come to life. So we opened this past week, which is huge and really cool. There were a couple like 3 a.m., 2 a.m. nights last week in the past week, but we did it. The first episode is on YouTube, and the second one will air this coming Saturday. You can specifically access the links to each episode via Accidental Shakespeare Company's Facebook page. They are unlisted, so you will need to go through the Facebook page to follow us to access those videos instead of just searching on your YouTube. We're just doing that for security reasons. So go find our page and find Act 1 and then find Act 2 on Saturday. But in today's video, I would really like to just talk about and appreciate all of the different team members involved in bringing Romeo and Juliet to life. To start, this show would not be happening at all without our film editor, Evelyn Landau. Going into this, I realized that I have no film experience whatsoever, and so we hired Evelyn, who is a really excellent film director and filmmaker and film editor, and she is the one who put together each episode. So after each day of filming during our rehearsal process, I would send her the clips. I would tell her which take of each scene I liked the best, and she would put them together. And then we also collaborated in where I gave her title cards and any other materials to add in. And over the past couple months, we've gone back and forth with me just directing her in terms of like how I'd like things to go, in terms of like putting scenes together and pacing and things. And she is so excellent at her job. Just everything, there is so much attention to detail involved in everything she's putting together. Like, we have spreadsheets on spreadsheets. I've sent her requests that probably have taken her a couple hours in terms of like just splicing out little bits of audio or replacing audio from one clip over the video of another clip because somebody flubbed a line. And like, she has been able to do everything so well and so beautifully, and she is amazing to work with. She is a true artist, and she's an incredibly skilled technician. And this show would not have fully come to life without Evelyn. So if you have a film project and you need a film editor, please consider hiring Evelyn Landau. She has her own YouTube channel as well, where you can check out her own work. She's also a fantastic singer-songwriter, and she wrote and sings the song that plays at the end credits of every episode. So please hire Evelyn Landau for all of your video editing needs. I recommend her wholeheartedly, just like how I recommend everyone on this team. Also, Polly Cooney, they played Tybalt, and they were also our fight choreographer. We were thinking about how we wanted to do the fights, and Polly, who's a very accomplished Chicago fight choreographer, was really passionate about doing these fights, filming them at a social distance outside. And so me and Polly collaborated, and they choreographed the main fight in the two fights in Act 1, Scene 1 between the original members of the houses of Capulet and Montague, where they run into each other in public and they almost fight and they draw swords. And then the big one in Act 3, Scene 1, where, spoiler alert, Romeo, Tybalt, and Mercutio are fighting, and Mercutio and Tybalt are killed, as well as the smaller moments of Juliet stabbing herself and Romeo killing Paris. Also, yeah, Elizabeth has to die twice. And so Polly not only choreographed those fights the way one would in a regular stage adaptation, but they also came up with the cinematography for specifically how to film each bit of each fight and exactly who needs to be in the frame and what their action is in every bit of film that we would need to put the fight together to look like it's a movie. And of course, at that time, we did it that way instead of just like videotaping the actors fighting because of social distancing. And we really wanted to make sure we did it outside with everybody over 6 feet apart, since even though at that point a few folks were vaccinated, not everybody was. And Polly really did a wonderful job of just organizing that and having a very clear vision and executing the clear vision and having those fights done via video and like their expert way of just doing the choreography and the cinematography seriously did add so much to this show. And they are just like a genius at what they did. So if you're in theater and you need a fight choreographer for something, and especially if you need somebody to cinematograph a Zoom Productions fights, or even like help out with cinematography for stylized movement or for anything in a socially distant filmed thing, please hire Polly. Like if I were going to be in Chicago past this summer, I would want Polly to like just fight choreograph everything I work on from here on out. So yeah, they were amazing to work with. They brought so many creative ideas, and they really helped out with me and Evelyn and kind of running us both through exactly the order of all the clips and the placement, and like really working with, especially them and Evelyn worked together to really just put everything together and make it look perfect. Because those fights are so complex that there was a point where I had this Google Drive full of like probably 200 clips, and I had to like pick the best one of each, the best take of each thing. But then like the actual spreadsheet where I listed, okay, this is what happens according to the script and Polly, and then this is the like number and name of the clip. And then suddenly my spreadsheet, after like sifting through everything with Polly and Evelyn, suddenly my spreadsheet is like, oh, there's like 75 line items here. And so thank you to Polly for really spearheading creating that. And a huge thank you to Evelyn for then like looking at all our clips, looking at our spreadsheet, and just beautifully executing it in the form of making the play and making the film editing of the play. Also, Julia Kessler. So she is the company's text coach. She's been an ensemble member of Act Shake since they started. And she'd been attending almost every rehearsal for our 6 weeks of rehearsal and filming. And she is such a good text coach. She is so meticulous and detail oriented in terms of anytime we did a run of rehearsing a scene, or anytime we videotaped something and that was like one of our takes, she would listen and give very specific text coaching. And her way of coaching the actors is very extremely like actor friendly, where the actors just suddenly get it and they get why as well. And so having her as the text coach seriously did like level up this show and level up the actors' performances. And she is so great to work with. And she also really like does not miss anything, because when on our filming days, she would just make a list as well of any like text and pronunciation flubs per each take. And then when me and Evelyn were going through the takes afterwards, sometimes if there was a take where I'm like, oh, this is my favorite acting wise, and then we'd look at Julia's list and we'd be like, oh, should we maybe like do a little micro cut here or sub in the audio for something else there? And yeah, just Julia's attention to detail is so out of this world. And she really did make this production an even better show. And including, in addition to just like playing Friar Lawrence, because she also had like a huge role in the play as a character and did a beautiful job with that as well. I would also love to give a shout out to Molly Garrison. She was our stage manager, and I assume it was not easy stage managing over Zoom or like making the transition from stage to Zoom, but she did a phenomenal job of it. She did a great job of just running the room, of facilitating communication by sending out daily calls and rehearsal reports, which even though it's over Zoom, those still have to be like as involved as they'd be over on a stage show, because you're still calling the actors scene by scene and sending out notes to all the other designers and team members. So Molly was great, and she really did a wonderful job of just running the room, keeping us on time, keeping us in good spirits when things got stressful. She is an excellent leader, an excellent stage manager. Please hire Molly for any of your stage management needs in person or over Zoom later on. Oh, I also forgot to say, just please hire Julia too for if you're doing a classical show and you need a text coach, Julia is 100% your person. Also, I would like to give a shout out to Owen Owens, who wrote and composed and recorded the music that you hear in transitions between scenes. I think that having that music in between scenes really did help just fill in a lot of the gaps tone wise and just technical storytelling wise, because we have the actors doing the acting from their Zoom rooms or from their socially distant self tapes, but I think that we really benefited as storytellers from the connective tissue of Owen's music, and just in communicating and in talking about just like my vision and stuff for the play. I think that Owen really got it, and the music really does a lot to enhance the story. So if you need a composer, please talk to Owen. He is really wonderful. Also, Elizabeth Quilter. They play Mercutio, and they created from scratch, just on their own, without being asked, a whole short film of the Queen Mab speech. So on their own, they conceptualized, designed, directed, animated, and edited a whole short film of the Queen Mab speech that tells the story of Queen Mab as this mysterious mythical figure, but then also a microcosm of showing the story of Romeo and Juliet through other animated images and actions and tarot cards throughout. Elizabeth's colleague, Sammy Jo Johnson, was the tarot consultant for that, which was really cool. I don't know much about tarot, but I was recognizing, there's a lot of like the lovers with the tower or with the Three of Swords, which definitely means that not good things happen to the lovers, which is accurate. And Elizabeth's video is just beautiful, and it's its own just beautiful standalone piece of art. So please check out Elizabeth's video, standalone, and also, of course, within the context of Act 1, where Mercutio does the Queen Mab speech. So thank you, Elizabeth, for really just going above and beyond and creating this really cool piece of art that is a part of our Romeo and Juliet. And let's see, also Anjali Primlani, she founded Accidental Shakespeare Company several years ago, and she left the company for a couple of years, but then came back to help us out just with this production of Romeo and Juliet. And so over the past year, as the company has been chatting about it and chatting about the potential for a Zoom production, Anjali's expertise as related to just her sensibilities as a Shakespeare actor and as a director, as well as just her history with the company and everything, that has always been so helpful. And she's just always been an amazing voice in the room. She has also been coordinating the mechanics of actually posting these advertising videos as well as the actual episodes up to YouTube. And she's done such an amazing job just really being on top of that, and also making me on top of making these marketing videos for you all. So she has been just an amazing guiding positive force of this whole thing as well. And she also volunteered to make a cameo as Abram. So the person on the Montague side of the bite your thumb speech, who gets to say those iconic lines at the beginning of the play in Act 1, Scene 1, that's Anjali making a cameo, which is very well deserved because she founded this company. And so I think it's so wonderful that she kind of comes full circle and gets to be a part of this virtual production during the pandemic. Also, just additional shout outs to Gary Henderson. He is a former member of the company who is no longer with the company. He's an amazing actor in Chicago. And when he was with the company back before the pandemic, he was the casting coordinator who coordinated the auditions. And thinking about those auditions, back when we thought this would be in person, we had like over 200 people submit, and Gary communicated with all of them. He wrote to all of them and like organized resumes and headshots, organized communications about their audition times, maintained the calendar, maintained a system so that like when me and James were like in the audition room, there would be kind of a live Google sheet of like who's waiting based on like Gary or Julia, hall monitoring and everything there. And so Gary just had so much to organize in such a small amount of time, and casting is crucial to this show because we ended up with a really amazing cast. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know where we would be with this show if auditions weren't so beautifully run. And like, even at callbacks, there were oftentimes actors who I'd call back for like 3 different characters who were seemingly unrelated and had unrelated sides. And Gary just had this lovely, just master spreadsheet of kind of where everyone was going when during the whole duration of callbacks. And just, that is so much to do. And like, because of my dream cast, I got my dream cast for this show. I owe Gary so much. So thank you, Gary. Also, James Anthony, of course, they were the artistic director at the time that I was hired to do R&J. So I just want to say thank you, James, for having the faith in me to direct Romeo and Juliet for this company. They're no longer the artistic director. They're still a very dear colleague and friend of mine. They did design the original R&J graphic, which is what you see in the front credits and on our social media for everything. And they gave us permission to use that graphic throughout doing the virtual R&J process. So James is with us in that sense, which is amazing. So yeah, thank you so much, James, for still for being the one to initially kind of jumpstart me directing this show, and just for being just a great leader and light out in the theater world. Thank you. Also, the Act Shakes board. The board has made so much of this possible, especially like Jim Campbell, who runs the website, and Benjamin Dionysus, who's a very active board member. Thank you, y'all, as well. I hope there's nobody I'm forgetting. I don't know. I want to do another video where I just sing praises for the cast. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see that. But thank you. This process has had a lot of ups and downs, but this production team through it all has really been the dream team for this. And I am so proud that so many of you know I am leaving Chicago to go to grad school in the fall. I'm so proud that if this really is my last opening and my last full show in Chicago, that I had this team of people to do it. And I'm so glad that as I navigated the waters of kind of my first full Zoom show and my first film, that I had this team with me. And I highly recommend, I will write recommendations and sing their praises forever and ever. I highly recommend every member of this team. So thank you all so much. And that's been my video of how it takes a village to make a virtual R&J. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and please check out all the other episodes of Romeo and Juliet as they air. They're accessible via our Facebook page, and you'll be brought here on YouTube. Please give each video a thumbs up if you like the episode of R&J. We hope to see you for the rest of the series. And alrighty, I'm gonna say bye for now, and have an awesome rest of your day, because you are awesome.